I feel like Josh doesn't get hurt that easy, and he went down like he was hurt, and then he went straight into the ball and scored a try. I was like, oh, Joshy, are we playing games here?
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.
Hello and welcome to House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland. I'm Greg O'Shea and I'm here with Lindsay Peat. How are you doing, Lindsay?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very good. We don't have Jason today, but we've upgraded to Mr. Pat. How are you doing, Pat?
Good, yeah, very good. Thanks very much, yeah.
Good to have you in the hot seat.
Yeah, what is it Jason's missing out? I think he's at the International Rugby Experience there. They're having their grand kind of big launch today down in Limerick. So Jason's in. I think they have a load of legends down. O'Driscoll, Paul O'Connell, Brian Habana, Keith Woods, the likes of that. So
down there, I think.
Kira Griffin, I think Bavin Parsons is down as well, and Gus Scott, Dawson. So yeah, Jason's going to be out there trying to get interviews with who he can. We might have a couple on the show next week, hopefully. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure O'Driscoll's going down as well.
Oh yeah,
Brian O'Brien, Sean Fitzpatrick, they're pulling all in. I even got the call to go down.
Yeah. I didn't. Did you get the call?
No, it's kind of awkward now, but there you go. Look,
I left the gym the other day and I had a missed call from Paul O'Connell, and I was like, why is Paul O'Connell ringing me? And you know, your head starts ringing, and then you're like, oh, what have I done? And then he was just inviting me down, but it's just all the way down to Limerick. I couldn't make it down, sure, because House Rugby comes first, lads.
do you know what? At least you picked us, Jason. We won't hold it against you, but
I know, it's a couple of days staying in the Dare Manor, lads.
with celebrities.
With celebrities, all like playing golf, dinners.
I feel bad now.
Going into the International Rugby Museum.
Would you like to
like,
go?
the whole lot, like
You can
You
go
can
now.
go now if you want.
Will I?
Just,
You know what? I just wanted to let you know that I picked this over that, and a couple of other jobs I'm going on with.
We're feeling the love a little.
Yeah, of course. So, lads, we're going to have a chat later, or not a chat. We're going to have a talk later from Dan Sheehan. He was interviewed after the game, the Leinster game, and then there's going to be a little chat also with Jameson Gibson Park after the game as well. Little clips there, but before we hear those guys and what they had to say, we want to talk about the European Cup that happened on the weekend. Leinster played in the Aviva Stadium against Toulouse. 41-22 they won. Very convincing, but Toulouse had to go down to 14 men for it to be convincing. What do you think, Lindsay?
Yeah, it was always going to be tight. And I think there was a difference this year in Leinster. I think they rode their luck. They obviously done their homework on Toulouse, and I think they knew their discipline would be key to this. I also thought before the game, if they let this get into, like, obviously we've seen how expansive Leinster can play their style of rugby, but I was like, if they go toe-to-toe now in a really open game of rugby with Toulouse, we're going to be on only one side of the coin. It's not going to be the one we want to be on. So looking at their tackle count was much higher. They really worked hard, but they also went through their phases and they were exceptionally disciplined and stuck to task, and I thought they really grinded out the game and they really took advantage when Toulouse went down to 14 men. So they bided their time, they were patient, their set piece was excellent. Dan Sheehan, like the fact that he didn't start against La Rochelle last year in the final, and the trajectory of that man, like he looked like an open side, like he looked like a flanker taken off there. Do you know, he was exceptional. Obviously an opportunist try, but that comes in the game of rugby, and I thought he finished it very well. So I was impressed with Leinster with how they went about their game plan and about how they dismantled Toulouse, and really they imploded. Like Nettie with his, listen, you can argue either side of the coin with that yellow card, but Josh van der Flier, which I was surprised, I was like, oh, look at you playing the actor. But look, they obviously did their homework and they picked at their Achilles heel, and they came out on the right side of it.
Yeah, for sure. You touched on a lot of points in the game there, and before we even delve further into that, Pat, you pulled up a few stats regarding Leinster in the European Cup, that it's their 4th final in the past 6 seasons, stretching back to 2018 victory over Racing in Bilbao. That's going back a while now. So it's their 7th final in total, this one coming up. So did you think it was like a foregone conclusion that they'd go through Toulouse? Or what did you think?
Yeah, I had a neighbour of ours who listens to the show. Gavin was heading out in the car there the other day, and I think it was Friday, and he asked me, "Do you think they're going to do it?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, I think they'll do it." Like it wasn't 100% confident, but I suppose it's the same thing about La Rochelle. We might talk about the final as well. It's like it's the home advantage kind of side to it as well, where, you know, and then it's like you look at the squad. It's like stacked full of Ireland guys who've kind of got over the line, won a Grand Slam as well. So it's like, but yeah, it's almost the same as Ireland in a way. Like you don't have Sexton, you don't have James Lowe, you don't have Ronan Kelleher, you know, like you don't have Henshaw as well, and yet they still go out and there's so many lads stepping up. So yeah, I was kind of confident, but not wildly confident. I thought it was going to be really like one of those. I think everybody thought it was going to be a classic, like a one-score game or something like that at the end. But Toulouse. It's funny enough, like when you think that La Rochelle might have Leinster's number, now Leinster seem to have Toulouse's number as well, and kind of just really know how to shut them down as well. But they got very fortunate with not fortunate, but like they forced it as well. Like, but those yellow cards made such a massive difference. Like, and even at the end, like Hugo Mala and Antoine Dupont were in the press conference, and they were just like, listen, there's a couple of arguments we could have about this and that, but you can't complain when you concede over 40 points. Like, so they kind of just held their hands up and like beaten by the better team again. Like,
wasn't that mad though? Toulouse, I think, are 5-time champions, and Leinster 4-time champions. And they're beating them like handy enough, like, do you know what I mean? Which is just crazy to talk about Toulouse, one of the giants of European rugby. But I did think when it started off, I was like, okay, home advantage is going to be huge here for Leinster, and they don't really have many injuries that you alluded to there. And then Aki came out and scored the first try, and I was like, oh, here we go now, Leinster are going to be tested. Yeah. And then the yellow cards just changed the whole game. Like, it's just, and I suppose that shows at the top level of rugby, Lindsay, that once one player goes off, the other team is good enough to find the space, and your systems start falling apart. And even though, like, to the naked eye, you might not see it, but like having a winger missing you're going to have space on the far side, or there might be space in behind. And Leinster just identified that, and they just had their homework done. Even after the Josh van der Flier fiasco that we can talk about, they went straight away, and they just knew they had their homework done, and they just realised that they were a man down and scored straight away. Like, so. Well,
they went for the set piece, and like. Yeah. Well, a couple of things on the Ramos yellow card, right? Yeah, it was so cynical. But he had to, because it was a 2-on-1 and in a very tight area, right? But what I love was a big shout out to Jimmy O'Brien. I loved this. He was getting sassy. He's like, go on, off with you, off with you. He was raging. I was like, yes, Jimmy, I like this idea. Like, he was like, get the boat, off you go. But I think I watched Ramos against, it was the Sharks, wasn't it, in the quarterfinal they played at home, if memory serves me right, and he was exceptional, both in his positioning, his kicking. So to lose a player who's been standout for them throughout this tournament and the season in the fullback position against Leinster, who can mix up their game with kicking, and what he then offers in attack and, link play between backs, forwards, whatever. His game he's phenomenal. Like, and he carried that from his international into Toulouse. But they identified he was a big loss. Like, you can't lose your fullback who's key to your success. And then the same.
Fullbacks just hold the whole defensive system together. Like, it's like a pendulum. You wouldn't even realise that if you lose your fullback, you kind of lose your structure completely.
100%. And it's a bit like, well, that's for your backs, and then obviously your forwards, when they lost one of the front rows, then they go to set piece and then they maul them over. So. This is what I mean. It's just a very different Leinster. They're never under pressure, and we've spoken about there. They put such a, losing by 40 points or putting 40 points on Toulouse. They've done that consistently. They've beaten Ulster, Gloucester, Leicester. Like, no team seemed to upset them. They do their homework. They stick to their game plan.
Except La Rochelle.
Listen, I'm going to admit it, I'm nervous. Chris
this is the only team in the world that have the mental edge over Leinster.
Yeah.
This is the key.
Yeah, Pat was chatting, like, the last 2 seasons Leinster have lost to La Rochelle in the European Cup, in the semi-final 2 years ago and the final last year.
Yeah.
And you talk to Leinster lads and they all have this little thing in the back of their head about La Rochelle. So is that going to be a good thing? Is that going to be a bad thing, Pat? What do you think?
Yeah, it's like, well, a team comes and they know they have, that they've done a number on them as well. I suppose maybe the France versus Ireland stuff, kind of like the tables are turned a little bit, so they might have that. Some of the players will know that they've went directly up against these guys, but then they have to, like Will Skelton's going to be there, and Kerr Barlow and stuff like that. They have a few more weapons to them as well. So I think it will kind of play into it a little bit, and like La Rochelle will probably try and repeat what they've done again. I'm sure ROG will have extra stuff in plan for them, but like I was mentioning to Lindsay there, was like that. Like, I had noticed that Toulouse were trying to copy what La Rochelle did in the final last year. It's like, the minute Leinster get any momentum going, just give away a penalty. Like, be as cynical as you want. We're just going to shut you down. Like, you're not going to get a try on us. We'll give you penalties, but we're going to shut you down. Like, so they did that as well, but then they paid the price with the yellow card. But it was like, we're not going to let Leinster score tries. So that's what La Rochelle will try and do again. And then the other one, which is very interesting, was the Jamison Gibson Park stat at the end, that he kicked the ball 11 times and they gained 350 metres out of that, which is insane. Like, so that's another thing that Rod should be looking at. Like, how do we stop
That's 3.5 rugby pitches.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy with 11 kicks. That's incredible.
It's almost like a success every time. Like, so then, like, they'll be doing that thing as well. Like, I'd imagine they'll try and do the same thing again. Shut Leinster down. Don't let them get tries. Give them penalties. We'll keep ourselves in the fight as well. And then and then see if they can shut down that kind of kicking thing. But yeah, it's got to be in the back of their mind, I'd say. Like, they've beaten them comprehensively in that semi-final, and then edged them out in the final last year. Like, but and then a big chance for lads to kind of really step up. Like, it's someone like Ross Maloney now, who's kind of like was kind of left, kind of like he kind of last year, kind of for him, he kind of fell down near the end of the season as well, and that Jason Jenkins was brought in. That he still might be brought in for the final, Jason Jenkins, but lads have a chance to, like even Jimmy O'Brien again, like these guys will be like really chomping at the bit to see if they can get over the line against La Rochelle. Like,
yeah, for sure, 100%. And Johnny's not going to be back, and James Lowe's still question around his fitness as well. And Larmer was there. He looked a little bit kind of like he was still figuring it out. He was trying a few things. He was exciting, but he was trying things that I'm like, I don't know if you should be trying that in the semi-final of European Cup.
He was forced, wasn't he, a little bit? Like,
saw Ross Byrne giving out to him a couple of times. But you can't give out to Jordan Larmer that much because he hasn't been playing all season. So he's trying to prove himself, get himself into an Irish team, I'm sure. But I presume he'll be on the wing if James Lowe isn't back. What do you think? Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Yeah, if Flo isn't back, then it would probably pretty much then say the same, because even like Jamie Osborne is out then as well. Dave Carney, like, it's kind of like he's still an option there as well. Like, but I think Lowe. I think if they could do, they might even sacrifice the URC, like, and to say Lowe, get yourself back for the final here if you can, like, and so I think he's a new father as well, actually, James Lowe. They welcomed a child there.
Congratulations, James. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, lovely stuff. You touched on it there a while ago, Lindsay, the Josh van der Flier moment.
Yeah.
What do we make of that now? I saw it and I was like, I don't know, both people are in the wrong here.
Oh, they were both in the wrong.
Josh went in completely upright, like, for just like fighting a lost cause. But it worked out.
Listen, I think that was the game plan. I think this was something, obviously, they identified, because it was so out of character for Josh van der Flier to like counter a ruck that was lost. Like, it was lost.
Completely done.
Yeah. So I just think that was something that was key, and obviously it had been alluded to prior to the game. And this is the thing. We're sitting here as both ex-players and fans, and like, part of me, you want exciting rugby as a fan, but as a player, you're like, whatever you get to get us over the line, whether it's cynical or not, or whether it's part of the game plan. I have been that hot-headed netty, so I can sit here and say that I have been targeted. Even during AIL this year, I had a chat with one of the clubs, one of their coaches after, and I said, I know you did that. Actually, I was chatting to Goose last week, 2 weeks ago after the England match, and when he was coach of Scotland, he sent his 9 out to annoy me. We were having an argument at the start of a scrum. So it's just something you do, because the mental side, you have to get into players. And I think, to be honest, it was nice to see Leinster not being just these, compliant guys who stick to the game plan. They were kind of poking the bear, even the Jimmy moment, the Josh van der Flier moment. And I think that is going to be needed for going up against Roger's team, because he is also the man who poked the bear whenever he wanted. Like, we know his battles with Sexton, with Leinster, Munster. So I think it's all part of the plan and all part of the nice building.
But do you think Nettie was, it was a bit mean to send him off? Like,
I think, to be honest, he had the ruck sealed, and he was, we've
you're
all
supposed to
done
just stand there and let the best player in the world just run and hit you. Like, he kind of protected himself, I felt.
Yeah.
But like, it was just unfortunate that his head went then into Josh's neck. But then Josh was bent down slightly. I just thought it was a bit like harsh to just go, okay, yellow card, you're gone. Should have looked at it a bit longer, I felt.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think it's different to like a high tackle and a head-on-head collision. Like, I've been in that ruck where I have used my head. Like, and it's not that you're trying to like knock someone out. You're
protecting
just trying
yourself.
Absolutely, because I tell you what, if you get counter-rucked as a forward, you're being killed. It's just not a nice place to be. So you do everything to protect the ball and to protect the ruck. So yeah.
And do we think? I feel like Josh doesn't get hurt that easy, and he went down like he was hurt, and then he went straight into the ball and scored a try. I was like, oh, Joshy, are we playing games here? Which is very smart out of him.
Yeah, he sat down for a while, didn't he? Yeah, he as play went on, and that was, I think, even didn't Toulouse have a nice 50-22 then immediately afterwards, 10-point difference in the game, and then Van der Fleer still there. Barnes is like, okay, we're gonna have a look at it, and then the crowd did their bit. Oh.
I think they got prepped as well for the game plan. Yeah. Plus, you have to look at the referee. Like, Wayne Barnes, he's a great ref, but he's pedantic. Like, he is pedantic, and when he's hot on something, he's hot on something. And I'd say that was another issue that we're like, right, we're going to get 50-50 calls here.
But there's this thing in rugby where, Lindsay, and obviously you know as well, Pat, that you can't be coming in upright, whether it's in a tackle, whether it's in a ruck. It's all about bending at the hips and getting low, below shoulder height, or sternum is the new height that they're talking about. You look in the Toulon versus Treviso game, Olivon got sent off for coming in too high in a tackle. Josh Van der Fleer is coming in completely upright into that. And why is it like that he doesn't get ridiculed at all or any, like? I love Josh now, but I'm just like as the scenario that happened, I'm like, why are they just going against Nettie? Like, there's two people in the wrong here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you think what am I just being too?
No, I
pedantic
think
here?
you're right, and I agree with you. Like, do you know, I saw bits of the game in and out because when you have a young son, you can see bits of it. So I was like, what's the story with this? And you know, I'm actually chatting to my dad. He's like, no, Nettie, you know, silly of him. And then I'm looking back and I'm like, well, he didn't like kind of loaf him head on. You know what I mean? Like it's very hard, and I don't want the game of rugby to go down like soccer, where we're on VAR now and we have to stop the game every 2 minutes, and you know. But it's hard until I think we get over this period of really defining what merits a yellow and red card and what is really dangerous to the player.
It was interesting to hear Wayne Barnes say that he was unsure between a red and a yellow because it was in the neck area. So that's probably what made the decision for him. But that he dropped down to a yellow because I think we heard over the ref mic that they want him to go for the lesser punishment. Probably to keep the game running if they're unsure. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it was kind of, I was like, Barnes doesn't flash that many reds as well, I don't think. Like, let's say someone like Carl Dixon or something like that, he's prone to show the reds and like, but yeah, Barnes is kind of like, he's always willing to be like, now he knows his own mind, but like sometimes he's willing to be talked out of things sometimes, and kind of, I just saw like Barnes would never flash a red there, European Cup semi-final. Like, he'd kind of, so if somebody was trying to talk him out of it, he's like, okay, listen, we'll go yellow. Like, but yeah, the more kind of Lindsay talks about it, the more I kind of think, yeah, maybe that it's almost out of character for Van der Fleer to run in bad body shape into a ruck, and then to go down so dramatically. Like, so yeah, was it something that they had identified in a way, like, and is it something that Barnes doesn't like or something like that? And
listen, I've had Joy, you know Joy Neville is brilliant. Like, good referees will say, you know, they bring you in, you know this, and they'll say, right, you know, and even before, like, I was a hero for offside. Divil. If teams want to get on it, they'll keep saying, oh, look at one, she's offside, sure. And they'll plant that seed and say, Joy, she'll say, I want you to listen to me, don't be offside. And she'll give you that. And Wayne Barnes will be the same. There'll be idiosyncrasy for players, for referees. And I think the same thing. I just think he knew what he was doing. I looked at the ruck so many times, it was lost. Like, he's not a stupid guy. Why waste your energy on a ruck that, like, against two big forwards, like it was, who had extended the ruck. No way he's counter rucking that. So I think he just was...
It was a plan of action.
Absolutely. And like, hats off to him. Like, that's, unfortunately, it's a game of margins. And in a semi-final, you got to do it.
Complete. And you know what? They're playing the game of rugby, like, and he's playing the rules, and he did his thing, and it worked out. They scored a try, so that's probably why he's best player in the world.
Listen, he's not World Player of the Year for nothing, is he?
Not just physically, also mentally, he knows what he's doing, and he got Nettie there, unfortunately.
And a great pass to, can I just say, his... like
tip-on pass.
To Jack
Conan.
Conan was exceptional.
Huge.
Now I thought Jack was going to give back. I was like, that's a man who's confident at the moment.
And another person who's lucky to get away is Andrew Porter. Did you see him dump tackle Malia?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I didn't. That was an interesting one. I didn't see it live, but I was up in the stands and someone that we work with, Niall, sent me a clip and he was like, "Have you seen this?" I didn't pick it up, but it happened live as well. Like, but. Like, that's a very easy yellow there. It was just school ground bully stuff. Like, you know, just like, take that. It's like what the Incredible Hulk would do to somebody, like, and absolutely flatten them. Like, and I think they were just very lucky in a way that Toulouse went through, scored a try soon after, a couple of phases after, and then that was it. Let's get on with the game. Like, but it was the one thing that, like, the Toulouse coach mentioned at the end that, like, you know, again, he said, we're not complaining too much, but I really thought, you know, that should have been looked at. That was an error. And he's like, Wayne Barnes, a great top-level referee, but he missed that. Kind of like he was saying. Like,
surprised the TMO didn't shout down and be like, have a look at this.
Yeah, it was strange.
Yeah, it was, because it was in the camera shot as well. Obviously, Wayne Barnes isn't looking at the camera shot, but you could hear everyone going, ooh, Jesus.
And usually they would, like, TMO would be like, yeah, we might need to go back, I need to show you something, but yeah, went on.
In fairness, Malia got up straight away, and Andrew Porter is like a vending machine. Yeah. So maybe Malia just landed on his back and it was just pile drived into the floor and it was fine.
Malia's on to Josh Van der Fleer this morning, listen, but dude, how do I do what you do? How do I stay on the floor?
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. A big thing that kind of influenced the game was DuPont not playing a scrum half for like 3/4 of the game. The best player... One of the best players in the world, Anton DuPont, probably the best scrum half in the world. Yeah. Would you not keep him at scrum half? Or what do you make of that?
I found it strange. He went to centre, didn't he?
He went to centre, and he kind of mixed between centre and 10 with Entamac. And he was just playing a kind of sweeper role, just controlling the back line, phase play. which I just felt like was a waste of his abilities. Like,
Yeah.
you want his hands on the ball as much as possible. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, well, he's good in open play, and I just didn't think, like, Toulouse weren't getting, like...
Well, the coach is getting blamed for doing a 6-2 split on the bench.
But you would do that.
Yeah, 6 forwards, 2 backs. Like, so once the centre went off, that was it. They were goose. Like, he hedged his bets and it didn't pay off, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where it's key. Like, you see, like, it happened Claudia McDonald for the Women's World Cup because she plays 9 wing and she, well, I'm sure you could shove her in full back. So you're looking at utility players if you're going to go for that split. And yeah, it did backfire. You think, oh, you know, if any of my injuries, it's going to be my pack. Like, I don't know why he's getting criticised for that split, because you would go like that. It's a semi-final. Like, you want your forwards. It was always going to be a war of attrition. It was a really quick game between fatigue and injury.
Yeah, as a top-level coach, you kind of play out all those scenarios. Like, what if Pierre-Louis Barassi goes off after 10 minutes? Where do we put... And they must have planned that Dupont's going to be the one to go into the back line. Or do you think they're just so French, being like, I don't know, put Antoine in there? I don't know.
Well, I'm assuming he did, but I'm surprised Entomac didn't kind of fill that and leave Dupont there. I know Entomac then covered fullback as well when Ramos went on. So
well, they brought on Arthur Retier, who was only so covering the back line. Would you not? I know I'm not a coach, but I would have kept Dupont, the best scrum half in the world, at scrum half, and maybe move Entomac or Arthur Retier into the centre and just keep Antoine Dupont where he is. So he can touch the ball, he can move things around, even though he still played well. What do you make of it, Pat?
It's funny enough because Retier, even though like he's, you know, he was with La Rochelle last year and he got the try that kind of won it for him against Leinster, like, but he's kind of known as a bit of a winger, but he actually's played scrum half himself, like, so, you know, they could have brought him on and, I don't know, like, just very strange like that. And then, because they had to do that, they had to hold Retier back then to cover the rest of the, like, so it's like they really got themselves hamstrung there, like, you know, like, but, I think he was asked about it after game Mala, and he said they'd done it in the past and it worked out or something like that. So, and then maybe the fact that Dupont can just slot in anywhere, but his best position would have been up there, as you said, hands on the ball as much as he can, like, so it hurt them. It did hurt them. It's a gamble. It didn't pay off for them, like,
exactly. So 2 yellow cards, and I think that Dupont position change is what kind of lost it for them.
100%, and it's a game of small margins when you come down to the latter stages of knockout rugby. It really is, and sometimes when you go down to 14 men, like we've seen that in games.
4 tries.
French women. Listen.
During the yellow cards, like, that's mad.
Madness. Usually, sometimes you see like an increase because everyone like is saying, "Oh God, we have to make up for the man missing." But Leinster are kind of like, we need to make up for the man missing and kind of turn the screw. So, look, Leinster fans sitting here happy out.
Yeah, like for my favourite rugby experience, I'm going to probably say last month in the Aviva, you know, winning a Grand Slam at home against England on St. Patrick's weekend. Like, I don't think you could beat something like that. So look, I've been very lucky to have a lot of great experiences. I've had lots of lows as well, but I think that was up there, at the top.
And a few very brief questions on Rochelle. So it's a fascinating final, Johnny.
Yeah, it is. The guys did really well. You know, Toulouse, I thought it was going to be a really, really close game. So for the lads to put in the performance that they did to get the result, it was fantastic. And then La Rochelle, they've an incredible record. I think they've lost one game in the last 20 odd or something like that. So obviously they've had our number the last couple of times we played them. So it's all to do. You know, it's probably, I would say, the 2 best teams in the final, the same as last year, and you know, hopefully that home advantage. You know, they had home advantage last year in the final. They had a stadium full of 40-odd thousand La Rochelle fans, and it was a cauldron, and it was something that we probably didn't expect. So hoping the Aviva will be something similar for the team when the final comes around.
And finally, obviously, how are you to cope?
Yeah, physically going well now. I suppose I'm 5 weeks post-operation. I'm feeling much better the last few weeks. The first couple of weeks were pretty tough and slow and sore, but turned the corner now and back training well with physios, and look, hopefully back ready to go 19th of June. We come back for pre-season, so I hope to be the same as everyone else, fully at it with them, so that's the goal.
Okay, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
It might bring us nicely onto La Rochelle, because I am not optimistic considering how much they just absolutely cut through Exeter.
Well, we'll go on to the La Rochelle game now. One more stat from Mr. Pat. He's just unbelievable for this stuff. Leinster scored 126 points over 3 games in the knockout stage, is averaging 42 points per game.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
That's insane. And knockout rugby. Wow. But they're going up against La Rochelle, as we said, and La Rochelle seem to have the mental edge against Leinster. La Rochelle were at home at the weekend. They beat Exeter 47-28, and Exeter scored 2 late tries to make that not look as bad. But wow, La Rochelle were impressive, weren't they?
Oh, I was like, all I was thinking sitting there was, A, these are exceptional and a joy to watch, and B, I don't know how I feel about May 20th, you know, because this is going to be the ultimate test. And like, for the stat man here, obviously it's 2018 was the last time they did the double. Like, so they won the URC. You know, they were knocked out last year, I think, in the semi-final. The URC hurt them as much. So I'm wondering now, as we build closer, and Dan Sheehan alluded to it in his interview, like, about just switching off is as important. And like, I'm sitting here already consumed with La Rochelle. I'm like, they were excellent. They were excellent.
Yeah, what you make of it, Pat? It was incredible. It turned out in their thousands. They seem to have some support as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, there's a good few of the English journalists over there taking videos, and it's incredible to see. Like, and we've been kind of lucky enough to follow them at Rugby Joe this season, and actually, hopefully, I might get another trip over to France before the final as well. Like,
your man crush was exceptional, Gregory Aldred.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was exceptional.
Having kind of suffered a little bit in the Six Nations,
he
and
did.
you know when you put all your chips behind somebody, you like, and you're like, and then he's back now.
Did I curse him?
But yeah, he was brilliant as well. And then their fans are incredible. Like, they do have that whole kind of region of the West Coast where they say it's not just La Rochelle, it's the kind of surrounding kind of provinces and stuff like that as well, and areas as well. Like, but yeah, they have this, like, considering that, like, in 2014 they got promoted from Pro D2, and there was another thing, I think it was 2 or 3 years later, their president reached out to 500 local businesses and was saying, if we all invest in this team, we'll get it back, you know, and they all kind of threw money into it as well, and they were able to attract, like, the best talents in the world. And like, even there, I think they're getting Ihaya West back next year. Jack Knowles coming over to join them as well, like, from Exeter. Like, so they're building something great out there, and all the guys seem to love it. And then ROG almost is just like the Pied Piper, like, they just believe whatever he tells them. And there was a funny one, actually. I was listening to a press conference with the French media ahead of the game, and one of the journalists asked him, is it handy that Gregory Aldred is your captain and he can speak English to all the guys, or no, he can speak French and he can translate? And ROG took offence to it and was kind of saying, no, like, me and, you know, like, we all speak French all the time, and there's no translator here, like, we're talking French all the time. And Donncha Ryan would tell you that as well, like, that they want to speak French all the time. They're not in there. We're on your turf here, like, so. He's really bought into it, and their fans are incredible, and such smart signings, like Sutani, like, they got over from.
She was excellent.
They got him from Bordeaux, like, and like, he's like a highlight reel player, but like, he had 8 defenders beaten and stuff like that, and that offload.
Just a nice little offload with 2 players hanging off him. I was like, how'd you get that ball out?
Yeah, we were talking, even there we were asking, like, he's an Aussie as well, like, and it was like with Eddie Jones kind of like
calling him this
do
morning.
a bit of shopping, like, get Kerr Barlow maybe, and then get Sutani as well, and that could really boost their chances. But yeah, an incredible team, and they just absolutely destroyed Exeter, didn't they? Yeah.
And the most impressive thing for me about La Rochelle is it just shows how good ROG is as a coach, and his backroom staff and director of rugby, whatever's going on in La Rochelle, is their team is just incredible, but they're not like world-renowned international stars. He's just found these incredible players from different places. Like Sutini, as you said, was born in Adelaide in Australia, but he's played for Samoa. He's capped for Samoa a couple of times. They've Hastoy, who's only 25. He's played for France twice, but he's incredible. He was running the show, and he's not even in the French team. They've Raoul, that you mentioned, Stu, on the wing, South African lad, played in the
Teddy Thomas.
Yeah, Teddy Thomas. All these lads.
From Racing.
Yeah, Favre, who only just came in because the other guy was injured. Like, all these incredible players that, like Skelton, that, like, do you know, if you look at the Leinster team, for instance, it's the Irish team. Where the La Rochelle team isn't the French team. Do you know what I mean? So they're playing week in, week out. They're training week in, week out together. They have the full top 14 season together. So I think that's why they're so good. They've really just thought about who they want to bring in. Cabarlo's another one. Do you know, 50 caps or something for New Zealand. I'm not sure exactly how many. So these guys could be playing international rugby, but they're just not, and just earning their living over in La Rochelle. So I think it just really shows how good the coaching staff is, and as well how well their game plan is.
Yeah, what I was really impressed with them on, this is my point, is I don't know how Leinster are going to beat this considering their second line of attack. So Exeter tried to come off the line really, tried to put really good line speed on, except there was dog legs to beat the band and La Rochelle just picked them off. La Rochelle did the same to Exeter, but they come up and they, for anyone who doesn't, they hunt high. So you're like you're herding sheep, and they absolutely smashed them on the gain line, behind the gain line. They just cut any momentum. Like they made the likes of. I thought Simmons played well at 8, and obviously he'll move on as well. He's going. Is he going toward
Montpellier, I think. Yeah.
I thought he did well, but they just any avenue Exeter went to go down, and even the Raymond ruled first try was just little chip over the top. He just little deft touch. It was like a soccer skill, and he just in the corner. His second try was a crossfield kick, and then Teddy Thamos comes off, and you think, all right, how does someone come on, going from Racing, French international, really high profile player, and he just slots in, and they just look like a group of guys. Know their game plan defensively, which is key. Yeah. But attack-wise, they're not afraid to express themselves, and they're very, very smart rugby players. So it's never, like, their variation of tries was exceptional. Like, props are getting on the score sheet. Your centres are getting on the score sheet.
That's what I mean, like they're world-class players that aren't getting taken away to international training camps. Like, so they're all just always in La Rochelle.
Yeah,
I think that's why they're so good. And another one's like Ulton Delan, one from our home. Like he
did great.
He played a couple of times for Ireland. He's over there now. Started at 6. Like you know, that's another. He could be playing international rugby. He's just not because he's over in France now. And a big shout out to him. Like he's been tough. Moved over, decided to get out of Connacht. Like, and it's paid off, obviously, hasn't it?
Yeah, like and I think he said he had always made a promise to his mum that he'd go back and play in France for a bit as well. And I remember talking to him. He said he had to have a talk with Andy Farrell, and it was almost like kind of good luck. You know, like I'll keep an eye on you, but like you know what you're doing here. You're kind of, I think he had 18 caps for Ireland, but the likes of Treadwell came in to cover him. Like he was still involved with the Irish squad, like but. He took a kind of brave decision that, like, I'm going to go here, I want to play.
He's dead right.
Yeah. And
he did a lot of injuries, so didn't he, for a while, and it really that was a bad time where he was out of the squad and he just wasn't playing.
And people started writing him off. I just don't think he was as happy in Connacht as he had been initially. Like, he's go to La Rochelle, live in the sun, play for ROG, get your big contract.
He was out in the 15-metre channel a couple of times. I saw him in the first half, and he did exceptional. I thought he had a really good game, really solid. He looks like a guy back loving his rugby.
To switch to blindside, and have a big impact as well, like crazy.
Like that top level rugby. Yeah. I know a couple of lads that are friends with him, and he says he's much happier over there.
Oh, really?
Like,
yeah.
Not that he was upset in Connacht. He's just really happy with his lifestyle over in La Rochelle.
100%,
And like
he's a nice guy.
And he speaks French as well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. But Rog had a couple of things to say around the game. He was quick to correct Martin Bayfield, who was the BT Sport presenter, when he said that Leinster did not have 2 big games before the Champions Cup final. And then Rog butted in and said, no, to be fair, sorry, Leinster do have that because they have a quarter-final of the URC and a semi-final, I presume, if they win that quarter-final. Like, so it's funny that Rog is very aware of everything that's going on. But he also said that he kind of argued that La Rochelle have a 10-1 season. Saying the top 14 is a proper slog and you have to be playing at top level for 10 months, where Leinster only need to peak for certain parts. Which I just thought, I don't know if that's right now. Do you know, does Leinster have to play in the URC, which is a bit of a slog as well. And then they have all the European Cup games. And I think they both just have really deep squads, and Roger didn't need to come out and say that. I know not many people have taken it up, but I feel like he's coming up with excuses already before the final. What do you think?
I'll tell you what exactly he's doing. He's starting to play the games. I see you, Rog. I see you. No, 100% he's starting to play the game. And I think you're right. It's not that he's preparing himself either way. He's starting to play mind games. He's starting to plant the seed. He's starting to get his players riled up. He's taking the pressure off his players by saying he's a 10-1 season. So I think he's an exceptionally talented man in how he plays the mind games. You know what I like about him? He's protecting his team. He's taking all that flack. He's no problem. He's like a politician. He's just like, wait, I tell you here, we have a 10-1 season. I think you're right. I think the fair point is that the URC and Robin McBride said it in an interview, I think I was reading this morning before coming in, that he said, like, you know, they are upset by their loss in the URC last year, the semi-final. They're trying to look at things and balance things out and how they're going to get their squad right. Like, they're competitive. Like, Leinster, and Rog will play on that Leinster want to win. Definitely the European is top of their goal, but they will want to walk away with a URC.
Of course they do,
Championship will also be at home if they continue on winning. So I think he's just an exceptionally intelligent man and he's playing mind games. But I
poking the
think,
bear.
100% he is poking the bear.
Because the thing with La Rochelle is, Pat doing some great research again, they have a multi-millionaire owner and operate on a 10 million annual budget.
Yeah.
So that's why they can afford all these world-class players and just keep them in La Rochelle having a great time.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, it's the kind of woe is me type of stuff. And yeah, Rog was saying after the game, it was like, people think it's funny that I'm not thinking about the final, but I'm only going to think about my team the week's final. That's because we have to play Toulon and Montpellier, and it's such a tough league, and like he was already, as you said, started to kind of play the thing, and then immediately, Robin McBride is up for press conference yesterday. He immediately gets asked about it then as well, like Rog says the top 14 is tougher as well, so you're almost on the back foot. You're having to defend it, and Leo Cullen's being pretty spiky. He's not normally. He's an absolute master of press conferences normally. He doesn't give much away. But I think last week and then after the game as well, I think he was asked after the game, like, the revenge factor, like going against La Rochelle if they beat Exeter, and he just said, no, you're completely disrespecting. Our players are motivated by more than this, and he thinks everybody's dismissive of Leinster and what they do. Like, so Rog probably knows about that, and then he's thrown out more kind of chum into the water,
Getting them riled up.
Get into this, listen, they're tough. It's easy for these boys, but. Yeah, it was masterful. But then interesting to see he did step in because Bayfield is almost like Leinster, they can rest lads at that. But it's like they're playing Sharks on Saturday.
They can't.
Sharks like Manpimpi, like Lucanuam, Etzebeth, they'll be coming. They're no chumps. That's going to be a challenge. And then they'll play Glasgow or Munster if they win that game as well.
Sure, the Sharks beat Munster in the European quarter-final. So it's not going to be an easy game. But I think. Another reason why La Rochelle and Leinster have gone to the cream of the crop is they have these deep squads where they have their B teams that are essentially the best teams in Europe as well.
Yeah.
They can send out their B squad and they'll win a game. Do you think that's been a big factor in the season, Lindsay?
Hugely. I think it's, we always ask this question, what's the secret to Leinster? And it is the fact that they will rotate their squad, they keep injuries. Now, the injury list is probably still a little bit high for me. Jamie Osborne's still out. Tommy O'Brien was only back, he's gone.
Ruddock is out,
Ruddock. But then you have Jenkins come back in, who scored an exceptional try. You've Luke McGrath there, you forget about him in ways, and I thought Gibson Park was exceptional the weekend, and I think it will be the battle of the two nines come May 20th. So, no, I think he's done well, but I think Cullen, McBride and all the coaching team there will be tested over the next couple of weeks of how do they balance their European starters for game time if they're coming back. How are they going to manage Robbie Henshaw? He's been in and out. He's been exceptional when he plays, but then he's injured again.
And that's the thing, they have 4 massive games coming up.
4 massive games. The Shark are waiting they're waiting in the long grass.
So the quarter-final, semi-final, final of the URC, we're presuming Leinster are going the whole way, and then the European final as well. So that's 4 huge games. You can't play the same 23 for those 4 games.
No, but you've Rob Russell probably coming in, Cormac, what's his name? Foley at 9. So all these guys have been blooded throughout the season for these moments, and it's time to shine. And I think the other bit is I don't think we'll see the loss of the 50-point loss. I think it was a nice kick up the backside, to be honest, to remind them that these are professional outfits that we're playing. You can't take every game for granted, and you are only as good as your last win, but you have to park that and concentrate. And I think that's what Robin McBride was saying. Yeah, great, we're through to a final, but we haven't won anything. We need to park that. URC is just as important now. Players need game time. We need to stick to our game plan. We need to win. We'll do our homework and we'll go out and it'll be another match. And I think they're in the Aviva, which is disappointing this weekend because I think the RDS is a fortress for games like that, and especially for players who are on the fringes who come in now. I think it's a nice stadium. They're used to it, but I think Bruce Springsteen was like, "All right, boys, get out. I'm singing here."
Brucey's going to have residence in the RDS. In fairness. I might go along to that myself.
Don't forget about me and Pat.
Yeah.
We don't get invited to anything.
Yeah, we'll come along if you want.
But as you're saying, the big loss that the Leinster lads had down in South Africa would a good kick up the hole for them. And I presume Leo Cullen would be like, no, lads, you need to have the URC as your little baby now and go out and win this. But the likes of Liam Turner and all of those kind of guys. And Rob Russell, is he still around? He's not injured anymore, is he? So Harry Byrne, guys like that need to step up and just grab the bull by the horns, because they can't use the same guys across the 4 games. There's going to be injuries. I think Dan Sheehan alludes to that in his chat in the next couple of minutes.
Kelleher's due to come back. Abeladze is there. Michael Milne is on the injury list, I think, as well, isn't he? He's just back. So Joe McCarthy is coming back. They're going to monitor him. So
It's the beauty of the end of the season, like just having these deep squads.
hugely.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to see, obviously we mentioned Jordan Larmour, and he's been a guy who's had great moments in the URCs, great moments in some of the European round robin. I think he did some great things the weekend, but I'd like to see him start. I'd like him to see his decision making and game management a little bit better, because I think that will get him. I think he will play probably in the final, depending on injuries, but he will play some involvement, and I think especially I'd like to see him do that for not only this but for Ireland going forward, you know, if he wants a chance. Like, these are the moments, because I think he's a guy who's really tried, no more than Jacob Stockdale, you know. These guys are, rugby isn't a game you can force, you know, that's the thing, so it's hard being on the outside, but I'd like to see him now really have a standout game this weekend and build on the good performance, parts of the good performance we saw on Saturday. And then, I think just a game management. But I did like the fact that Harry Byrne is really starting to, Ross Byrne is really starting to get into that role at 10. And like, there's less whisperings of what are we going to do without Johnny, which is lovely.
It's true, actually.
It's really, really nice. And I think, John, we've all played under, you know, any good teams, whether it's the Duponts or the Johnny Sextons. There's always one of the halfback pairing that are these like generals are like, you aren't doing your job. Whether that's Jordan Larmour just was the enforcer one, but I've been there where you're like, you didn't clear that ruck, you didn't block that kick for me, and you're like, okay, good. They're the standards you uphold.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think it'll be a nice run in for Leinster, but it'll just be managing injuries, game time, and this side of things.
Yeah, pretty cool for the Byrne family as well to see Ross coming off in a semi-final and Harry going on.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Like brothers, like running one of the best European teams around.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible. Like, I can only imagine how proud the
Yeah,
parents
yeah.
are. Imagine you're a little fella like that.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah, in years to come. So Exeter as well. Ronan had a little bit more to say. Ronan O'Gara. He described it as Exeter's last dance, and we kind of chatted about it a little bit earlier. They're losing most of their good players now.
Yeah.
Jack Noel is going to La Rochelle. Sean O'Brien, we chatted with his brother last week. He's coming to Munster. Stuart Hogg's retiring. He actually played really well when he came on, Stuart Hogg. Luke Cowan-Dickey going to Montpellier. Sam Simmons going to Montpellier. Joe Simmons going to Pau. Dave Ewers going to Ulster, and a couple more leaving the club. So Exeter are just going to be depleted. Just a bad couple of weeks for Exeter now, is it?
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it must be salary cap related or
I was just
something.
going to ask, what's the story?
Yeah, like Ian Whitten was retiring as well. Like, it's like they've lost like 15, 16 players. Like, so there must be some kind of way of, I don't know, they must have had to kind of clear ship or maybe they've just seen what's happened to some of the other guys. You know, like they've saw Worcester, they've saw like you know, the club's going to the wall then as well, and then even there, like London Irish are supposed to be now in trouble as well. Like, so they're probably just like, you have to just clear it, and then I don't know, hope that the next generation comes through and pick up a few Irish lads on the side that you know, that might not be needed at the provinces. And, but big kind of, there's a lot going on over in English rugby at the moment, isn't there?
Is Rory O'Loughlin staying?
He, as far as I'm aware, he's going to stay
he didn't
over
say.
there.
Sean O'Brien had a good game.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had Conor on last week. Now, Sean definitely has a much more Mullingar head in him.
Yeah.
I was like, there you go.
Yeah. Poor Exeter. We'll see. It's going to be a tough season for them next season, I'm sure. But they did okay. Talking about the Challenge Cup, guys, before we move on to the Women's Six Nations. Toulon, as we expected, smashed Benetton 23-0 in Toulon. But like, I was watching the game and they're just star-studded throughout. I'm actually surprised that they're in the Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
Parisi at 8, Cheslin Cobley on the wing, Villiers on the wing, Ollie Vaughan was at 7, even though he got red carded after like 14 minutes. Like, just ridiculous. They're out half damn bigger. Yeah, it's like, you know what? It's like going on like a PlayStation game for rugby and just creating an awesome.
They're like the PSG of rugby, aren't they? Really?
It's like, this is so unfair on Benetton. Benetton 23-0. I thought when the Toulon got the red card that they might fight back, but they just didn't. Like, it's just too much firepower, wasn't it, Pat?
Yeah. And like Parisi, there's like I don't think he's ever officially retired from Italy. No. Like, but there was talk there even again after he played so well that like, could Italy not do with him? Like, even as a replacement or something like that. And I think he's probably 3 years since he's played for Italy, but he's still, what is he, 38 now or something like that?
He played the full 80 minutes, and did you see his assist for the first try? He went to the first receiver and kicked the ball through. I was like, this lad, like, some backs couldn't do that.
Yeah,
incredible.
I think he's reaping the rewards, actually, not playing international rugby. It's extended his career. He looks like he's, again, I think he's not an exhausted version of himself after, you know, like, Italy have historically have a really tough
I wonder what's his own thinking of? Does he, like with the World Cup coming up, he's like, hey, listen, if you need me, like I'll go play a World Cup.
I'll just leave
like,
my number
here.
Yeah.
He probably would, in fairness to him, like. And the other semi-final was Scarlets versus Glasgow. It was on in Scarlets. Half time, I think they went in 14-all, or it was quite
close enough.
Quite half time, and then Glasgow came out and just pulverised them 35-17. Then they won.
Yeah,
it's kind of fair enough, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the two best sides left in that competition, kind of contesting the final. That'd be good. It's going to be Friday night in Dublin then as well.
Like, starter to the weekend. Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
so you'll have French and Scottish fans over for it then as well. That'll be a big weekend then, won't it? Like, yeah.
God, it'll be manic. Hopefully the sun will shine.
Yeah, It's the first Scottish side in a European final, is what I heard, which is amazing. I was surprised with that.
Yeah, I think I saw some.
Are we?
I saw someone tweeting that, and then somebody said maybe Edinburgh might have got Challenge Cup before or something like that, or maybe someone corrected it, or but yeah, like I suppose all the years they've been in it, they haven't really kind of achieved or overachieved, I suppose you call it. Like, but it'd be good, big thing for them. Like, again, they play Munster then coming up at the weekend as well, but then they have that to look forward to. So, big things for them. And then what's the other thing? Oh yeah, because of the way those results worked out, it just means Connacht are they've nearly got Champions Cup rugby. So the only thing that can prevent them getting Champions Cup rugby is if Sharks win the URC. I thought somebody said over the weekend. Like, so.
Yeah, I was going to put you on the spot back. Can you explain that to us, how that's all going to happen? So Sharks win, they have to stay in the top eight, obviously.
Yeah, and then that would bump Connacht down, and then you still have to have a Welsh side that would take the last spot then, and that would be Connacht. So
if Toulon beats Scarlets, then that means Scarlets have...
Toulon beat Glasgow.
Glasgow, yeah.
No, sorry. So Scarlets have to be in.
Yeah.
So they're going to get a spot.
If Scarlets had won the Challenge Cup, then they would have taken a spot then as well. Like, and that would have bumped Connacht as well.
Down.
So so very, like, I was almost like sometimes you're on Twitter and you're hoping that somebody does your homework for you, and then you're like, yes, all right, that's exactly.
So basically, Connacht aren't completely safe yet. We have to see how the next couple of games play.
They'll be, weirdly enough, they play Ulster first. Like, they will hope to do the business themselves. But they'll be kind of cheering on Leinster at the weekend then, because if Leinster beat Sharks, they're qualified for the Champions Cup then. Like, so
this will be the first time the West.
Yeah. It's so confusing, all these different competitions. But we hope Connacht stay in there. So Toulon and Glasgow will be playing it out in Dublin.
I think it's nice Glasgow are in. I think on the back of a really successful, like, their international team are going well. I think they've played some nice stuff, as have Edinburgh. They have been good, inconsistent a bit, but they've put in some good performances. So it's nice to see some different faces in a final.
And do we think it's a positive thing for Munster that Glasgow will have one eye on that final, because Munster are playing Glasgow next week?
Yes, well, I think it'll help them.
Yeah.
I think, but I think now there's been a turn of fortune, and I think I'd like to see Munster just finish off the end of the season as, consistently with the performances that they put in, like the good performances, like the new age Munster. So a bit of the old with the new, and the expansive rugby that we've seen play. So I'd like to see that regardless of anyone else. I think they just need it for themselves.
Just play for themselves. Okay, awesome stuff. Before we chat to you about the Women's TikTok Six Nations and the URC quarterfinals, we had a little chat with Dan Sheehan and Jameson Gibson Park about the Leinster's latest win. So have a listen to these clips, guys.
Yeah, I suppose it was a big part of the game, taking advantage of them being down to 14 men. They were probably on top of us in that first sort of opening 20 minutes a little bit. We got a few penalties, but they scored that opening try. And we knew they were going to be dangerous, and especially when they go 14 men down, they don't go away a lot of the time. They still play rugby, and they're still unpredictable as ever. So yeah, that was a big part of the game, and making sure we were switched on for the whole rest of it. No, I think a lot of the time teams can get carried away about, they try to get the ball to space straight away, but you got to stick to the way you play, because the way you play in the tight kind of creates that space out wide. So I thought we managed that well. We stuck to our game plan. We didn't change anything really. We knew after a couple of phases we might find a little bit of space out wide. So I think the way we managed that was good.
In regards to having a homes final, what does that mean to the group as a whole?
It's pretty awesome. I suppose it's something we've strived for since the beginning of the year. Obviously, knowing that the final was here in the Aviva, and we've got ourselves there. So there's obviously the final was the biggest hurdle. So we'll prepare well for that. But yeah, it's unbelievable really to think that we're going to be back here in front of our friends and family, and our home supporters for the final. So we look forward to it.
And the atmosphere today was immense.
Yeah.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the extra man?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was one of the best of, like it obviously wasn't full, but like the atmosphere was great. Some of the noise was like I say, probably one of the best I've played in front of in terms of a Leinster crowd. So hopefully a bit more of it to come in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
Some interesting stuff there from Mr. Dan Sheehan and Jameson Gibson Park. Not giving too much away, but yeah, good to see the insight from Dan with his try, his fortunate try, and then Gibson Park talking about Carbarlow, and that's going to be some matchup, isn't it?
Oh, I think that they will be key to whoever wins that. Like Carbarlow's behind the back pass from the ruck against Exeter. Like he's a man who's like he's the outside of those playing internationally. He's world class. Like
they kind of know each other from back home as well.
Yeah, he played a bit. And, James Lowe played with him at the Chiefs. I think for Super Rugby. So he's certainly a guy. I thought he's exceptional on some of his running lines, his support lines. He's always nipping. He's a real 9 that you just can't take your eye off. So
it's going to be some match.
Hopefully we'll shut him down now on the 20th. He makes me nervous.
I was thinking there as well about Dan Sheehan there. Like I was thinking over the weekend. It's like, is he the best hooker in the world at the moment, like in world rugby at the moment? And I think he is, like, considering that like Ronan Keller like would be in contention for that as well. But I think he's stepped on. Like, you know, I was only looking at, he's only played 61 games like in his professional career. He's only 24. It's only his 3rd season. Like, you know, like, but yeah, that burst of pace that he had like for that try, like, and then his line out was solid and the throw in was solid. He's doing all the basics and then so special, and then he was getting back in defence and making covering tackles as well, and trying to charge down kicks and stuff like that. It's just he's like the evolution of hookers in the last 5-6 years is crazy, like, but
ridiculous.
I think he's up there. Like I think
he's like a hybrid, isn't he? He's like a back row kind of hooker. Like he's exceptional. Yeah. But his set piece is one thing for me that's improved, and I think that was a key area. Like we saw him against England in one of his early days with Ireland, and you know if the hooker is actually key, is like that fulcrum, that nucleus to a scrum, and then obviously the consistency of throwing I think is exceptional. And he spoke very well in his interview, like a man you wouldn't think he was 24. Yeah, really cool, just there with his white shirt open and his bottle, like he's been, you know, at the like a red carpet event. He's just like, I've done loads of these, you know. So yeah, I hope that form continues now over the next couple of weeks.
Can you remember back that long, Greg, when you were 24?
Oh, don't be giving me that, man. Don't be giving me that. I wish I could go back.
I certainly can, no. I wish I was 34.
He could be one of the best hookers in the world, if not the best. I think someone that might challenge him is Cody Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Plays for New Zealand. Other than that, I can't really think of anyone that would compete with him on that level of like how dynamic he is. Yeah. How fast. Did you see him going for that try and DuPont couldn't catch him?
No, he was like, oh, I felt him at my heels. I was like, did you? Or are you just being kind?
There's a size difference between those two. Like he's just
hit the power button, didn't he? And just kind of zipped away.
A freak of an athlete. Anyway, we could get really deep into that conversation of best players in the world, but we won't. We want to talk about the Women's Six Nations.
Oh, well, let's turn a fortune here.
Yeah. So Ireland unfortunately lost 36-10 away to Scotland, but they kind of held them for a while. It was 10-all at half-time.
10-all at half-time, and I think it was up to the 60th minute where unfortunately the wheels come off, and I definitely saw a different Ireland, which was lovely to see. They were playing, they were putting phases together, winning collisions, making gain lines. Set piece was a lot more consistent. Still questions over the line-out, but Nicola Friday got her second try, has really led from the front, to be fair to her, as a captain's role, had to do a lot of the media and a lot of focus on her and her team, and really played a captain's part. So I think just fatigue and maybe lack of experience come in the last 20 minutes. Scotland probably showed they put all together their good piece. I thought some of their play was exceptional. Francesca McGee's try was ridiculous. Actually, unfortunately, it was Nicola Friday who came out of the line, left a dog's leg, and then a mismatch. And Francesca McGee, you think Dan Sheehan hit the afterburners. Yeah. She absolutely came in, she came out, she meandered, and she got a try right under the post. And I think that just ignited Scotland. Rachel Malcolm got her first try of the Six Nations, and she's been around a long time. Scottish captain, she's exceptional. Chloe Raleigh, which we knew she'd be a pain in anyone's side, and Leah Bartlett, who was probably quiet considering she'd scored 2 tries the previous week, but Scotland had a load of 50 cappers. They have a lot of experience in their squad. Helen Lanson was there as well. She has 50 plus 51 cap, 51st cap, I think, against Ireland last weekend. So she was there at 10, and I just think some of their key positions, Jade Conkle was exceptional as well. Conkle Roberts, she'll kill me for not giving me her full marriage name. So I think those players I mentioned were always going to be key. Because of their experience and what they've played through. And that experience, which we've alluded to on the show week after week, the mixture of experience with the likes of Jade Conkle Roberts, who was again 50 plus caps, Chloe Raleigh, Helen Nelson, Rachel Malcolm, all of them coupled with, like, you know, the new age Francesca McGee's, who, geez, that's her first try, but she's only a couple of caps yet. That was her first international try, as far as I know. I'm open for correction, and it's that coupling of experience and youth and inexperience that'll build it up. Do you know what I mean? Because you are for every team, it was the first, obviously, tournament since the World Cup, so everyone's starting afresh nearly in a new 4-year cycle, building up to 2025 World Cup in England. Which, by the way, can we say is probably going to absolutely blow records out of the water again, considering what they did on Saturday in Twickenham. But I thought the girls played really well, and I think just the last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, just unfortunately.
Yeah, so it was 10-all at half time, and closing stages. Then Scotland scored 4 tries, but like, if we say 50 to 60 minutes, Ireland were thereabouts with Scotland. So I think people need to take context of the whole game. But that is very good.
Yep.
3/4 of a game to be battling it out like that, and it just comes to what you're saying there: experience, more time together, maybe game management, and then you see off the last 20 minutes and you might get a win. Unfortunately, the girls came last in the Six Nations, so they didn't win any games out of the 5. But what we just said there with the Scotland game, and last week against England, they held them for 30 minutes. So all hope isn't lost, and I don't want people to be like, oh no, the Irish women's team, they're no good. There's something there, they're working on it. They just need to capitalise on it now. But the issue is now they're gone into the tier 3 of the W15, which is not a good place to be, because they're going to be playing against poor level teams and they won't really be improving. Or what do you think about that?
So I think it comes back to what we said, like, it is their worst finish, unfortunately, since 2004. That's the last time we got the wooden spoon. And we did also get... No, 2004 and 2002.
And 2002. Trust Lindsay over me here,
okay.
No, that's okay. 2002 we did, but 2004 we did also. But the big thing for this, and I think it's just mirroring exactly where the women's game is at, minus 167 points at the end of a tournament with no points on the board, not even a bonus point lose, is just unfortunately really showcases exactly how far behind. Like, everyone else got a head start, but it's probably a 100-metre head start, and that's an awful lot to catch up on, especially now, like you've just said, that we're in tier 3. So we're playing the likes of Kazakhstan, Colombia. Like, they're not renowned rugby nations. We are. And I think, again, it just showcases that if you, like, it does, I think it was someone commented on Twitter, and just to probably maybe come back to that, the 10 years of neglect I was alluding to is that when you win a Grand Slam in 2013 and you win a championship again in 2015, these are showcasing as to where you are. And these are milestones where you build on that. And you have to have insight into the game and look at other nations, and you know, you do your research into where the women's game is going. So how do you build on your success to make sure that you're up with that or not that far behind?
Yeah.
And that was my point, that we probably, and we've done it in the men's game, we've done it in the 20s, but I don't feel we've done it enough. We haven't done it. I know we haven't done it enough on the women's side. So, there is some exceptional athletes there, some exceptional players, but we all know in this room that, you know, we've alluded to Leinster and how they develop players. You have to be playing high-class test games, because they're harsh learnings, but harsh learnings that you learn from. And then you go back into training and you set goals and you build and you build and you build. And I just don't know where we're going to go from there and that to get good test games. In my opinion now, we have to look at tier 3 and maybe look at blood and new players and really getting the confidence back in. But we also, and work our way up to tier 2 through promotion, which we should do.
So would I be right in saying, so the Women's Six Nations isn't going to be a thing next year? It's just going to these tier 3s and tier 2s?
No, we will have Six Nations.
There's
so
Six Nations as well.
This is now like replacing, I suppose, autumn internationals. So this will be played through October, November region. So that play, then there'll be a break, and then we'll have the Women's Six Nations as normal. So this is an extra way of World Rugby getting test games for also those, like Kazakhstan and Colombia deserve to have test games outside of whatever national tournaments they have, or you know, so to get them And the tournament for the World Cup in 2025 will increase from 12 teams to 16. So again, it's World Rugby doing exactly what they did for men, trying to increase I suppose, non-renowned or smaller countries and getting rugby in there and getting the calibre of rugby up to making rugby overall a world-class, really expansive game. They're doing that for the women's as well, and this is a great way of doing that. But unfortunately, I just feel like I think this time last year in the show we were talking about, Ireland have to finish, for Tier 1. And then at worst, it would have been like Tier 2, right, okay, it's not ideal, but we'll be there. And I was listening to one of the Welsh players, Alex Callender, speaking about, it's going to be tough in Tier 1. They were guaranteed it. But that's where they want to be. And we can talk about the France and England's, but we're so far behind the Wales, Scotland and Italy. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Teams we were consistently beating and rarely lost against,
Yeah, so the top three teams, England, France and Wales, are gone into the Tier 1. And Scotland and Italy are playing it out against Spain for going to Tier 2.
I think who finished fourth? Scotland. So Scotland are guaranteed Tier 2 and it's Italy who will play off with Spain. So whoever loses that playoff will come into Tier 3 with Ireland.
Tier 3 with us. Okay, not ideal. But maybe like the women playing in this Tier 3 will allow them to kind of focus on improving and getting some wins and feel happy with each other and go out against the likes of Kenya, Spain, and not Spain, Kenya, Fiji, Colombia, Kazakhstan, and get a win against them and then build up again for Six Nations next year.
Hugely. I think what we need to do, and again, this is the players, like they're such skillful, they will get there, they need time. It was an unfair hand they were dealt, I suppose, for previous decisions made. So again, nothing to do with the players. What we need to do now is use that window to get players confidence, get new players caps. But I also think now it's time for us to really sit back and look from a wide angle lens and see how do we improve our domestic, how do we get our players as much game time as we can and feed that up into international. So this has to be a holistic now approach to improving the women's game overall, because what I've seen for suggestions and nothing's set in stone about what the season plan will look at. Like you have to fit in an awful lot of rugby for possibly just one cohort of players. So like that would be the W15s, the Celtic League is still there, and then your Women's Six Nation. But how then do we do that with the AIL and under 18s who were competing in their Six Nations Championship a couple of weeks ago? So yeah, I think we just need to take a breath, let the dust settle, have no knee-jerk reactions, and I hope the girls are just celebrating now and spending time with each other and getting back to the ones they love.
Yeah, exactly. And there's kind of chit-chat this morning reporting that Greg McWilliams might be stepping down. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I think Rory O'Connor had that in the Irish Independent, and and it seems to be it hasn't been confirmed yet by the IRFU. Maybe we might get an email or some kind of confirmation later on this afternoon or tomorrow, but. It'd be interesting to kind of see, like is it an opportunity? I kind of was wondering now, do they try and show their commitment to this kind of like we're all in on this now by trying to bring in a big name? I was even showing in the likes of like Simon Middleton might be leaving England.
I was thinking that myself.
Do you tempt him over? Wayne Smith, do you tempt him over from New Zealand, having kind of brought them to a World Cup? Like, do they go out and do they make a big appointment and show you, we're serious about this now? So Greg, came in, had a tough... didn't do everything perfect, didn't say everything perfect, but from the people who know him, like he seemed to care a lot, like he threw all of his, commitment into it as well, like, but it seems like maybe he's just put his hand up. It'll be interesting to see how it worked. Did he walk away? Was the pressure too much and stuff like that? But it looks like that's the first big change to come, and we'll see what will happen after it then as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. You said there earlier, England versus France, Le Crunch on a Twickenham Stadium. 60,000 people went to the game. To put that in perspective, Pat was saying that the Arsenal versus Wolfsburg game had 60,000 fans as well, which is a football game. Obviously, it just shows that rugby and women's sport has a big following if it's given the funding and given the spotlight it needs. Isn't that right, Lindsay?
Yeah. And that it was one of the Arsenal women's. I've followed them on their media, and they had one of their players who has been there the 10 years. So 10 years ago they played that same fixture, and there was over 1,300. So this is what I mean about, I think FIFA have put in a 10-year plan, and when you're hitting those milestones and moving the margins every time you kind of review, that's what you can see the success. And like this isn't a blame game. You have to hold up your hand and say things aren't right. This isn't just all teams, regardless of gender, it happens. There's swings and roundabouts, peaks and troughs, and I think it'll be how we bounce back from this finally, because I don't think we can get any lower regards Ireland. However, I can't lie, I was ridiculously jealous. A lot of the teammates I play with Railway went over to that game. Some of the girls who were playing in England were at that game. They sent videos, like the English players walking into Twickenham. Like it honestly was like the Queen was there again, you know, or the King was there. Like people were just like flying. The noise was ridiculous. England did really, like they were sublime. They were both, it was a great game, but like they went 33-0 ahead, and then all of a sudden like France came back and it ended up 38-33. So it's an exceptional game of rugby. Some of the offloads from France, some of the play from England, like they are at a different level.
Yeah.
And I need to give both unions credit, especially England, what they have done, what they've invested. They had their plan. They already have a new 10-year plan to just professionalise the whole even club setting over there. Like their ambition knows no bounds, and that's the scary part. But it's also something lovely to see when you're a female athlete that I've been on from the bottom up, and you're kind of like in ways so jealous, but in other ways so proud. And it's an emotional time looking at that from both sides. Like I have a really heavy heart looking at Ireland because I'm a past player. I have so much love for that jersey, as we all do in this room. Again, regardless of who's playing in it, and regardless of what sport, if it was Irish chess, I would like, go on. Do you know, so, but I suppose you always have to stay, and I am a glass half full kind of girl. There will be better days ahead, and we will look back at this, hopefully, as the main turning point to ignite that change. And we aim for the likes of England and France. And I think Vernier, you know, what one wish, she was interviewed, what one wish would you have? And she said, I want this atmosphere and these new like that record was blown out of the water. To put it into context, I think the nearest record before the 58 plus 1,000 was 28, so they nearly doubled it. So that's how quickly women's sport, and especially women's rugby, which we've said in this show, is the fastest growing sport, you know. Incredible. And we just don't want to be left behind. No, we definitely do not. The URC quarterfinals this weekend, guys. Yeah. Ulster, Connacht up in Kingspan. I can't see Connacht getting a win up there. Ulster it's a fortress up there for them. But we'll see. Maybe if they have Mac Hansen playing and a couple of others, they might be all right. Stormers versus Bulls down in Cape Town. At least they don't have to travel too far. That's South African derby there. Yeah. That'll be a cracker, I think. It will be a cracker. Leinster Sharks. Sharks do have to travel up to the Aviva Stadium to play Leinster, as we said. And then Glasgow, Munster away over to Scottstown. So how do you think they'll do? I feel like Munster are going to win. I feel like they had a good couple of weeks in South Africa. They grew closer together. They got some good wins. They battled it out. They're not dealing with too many injuries. And Glasgow, I think, are going to have one eye on this European Challenge Cup final. And Glasgow, although they're playing all right, they're kind of falling slightly out of form. And Munster are coming into form. So, and also, I'm just hopeless optimistic when it comes to Munster. So I'm hoping we can get the win, get into the semi-final, because the boys are flying it. What do you think? Yeah, I think that's it. Like, it would be amazing, like, their first season. Like, if they were to go, because they'd most likely then go play Leinster again in the semis. Like, but if they were to go to South Africa and get 2 good results, and go to Glasgow and get a win over there, you know, real dogs of war, kind of like on the road here, kind of. They fancy their chances then going up against Leinster. It'd be a real kind of like shot to nothing almost as well. Like, so. Yeah, from being in the depths of where we thought they might not even, make Champions Cup, make the knockout stages, then to being there, like that South Africa trip has been brilliant for them. So they're going to hope that they keep that momentum going. So, it'd be very tight. Like, that'd be another one that, like, I think it could just turn on one big moment or something like that. So hopefully that moment goes Munster's way. But yeah, they're certainly capable of beating Glasgow over there. Yeah, for sure. I'd hate to be coming up against Munster like in knockout rugby. Yeah. They somehow just turn it on. Yeah. Oh, I want Leinster-Munster in that semi-final. That'd be huge. I think we should all go also. Is the winner of the Glasgow-Munster game. Yeah, they come up against other Leinster Sharks. We presume it's going to be Leinster. So Presume nothing. So we'll see this weekend. There'll be some exciting stuff, some more knockout rugby. I love this time of the season. Yeah. Now I have 2 questions for you though. I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah. Who's starting at 9 for you? Oh my God. Who's starting at 9? I think it's going to be Casey. Do you? Oh. Yeah. I'm surprised at this. Now, who's starting at 10 for you? Jack Crowley. Do you think? Yeah, it's going to be Jack Crowley and Casey in the halfbacks, in my opinion. I hope he puts Joey on the bench. I like Ben Healy, but I feel like Joey Carberry is a Munster man. He's going to be here next season. Put him on the bench, give him some time, give him some confidence. We like Ben Healy, but he literally plays for Edinburgh. And he's Scottish now, like, in my opinion. Interesting, interesting. He's signed, he's going, he's gone. Rip the plaster off. So I'm like, just let him go. Stop, like, you're so sentimental, you're cute. I just want, like, Joey's there. Do you want to win or do you want to keep Joey happy? Which is it?
I want Joey to play. I love Ben as well, but I'm just like, he's
answer the
gone.
question.
He's
You know?
decided what he's doing. He decided what he's doing. Stop playing him ahead of Joey Carberry. I know he's playing really well, but he's leaving, like, unfortunately. Sorry, it's just my Munster passion coming out there now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I got what I asked for.
And I'm delighted for him. He's taking his big contract in Edinburgh and he's got his Scottish cap, but I'm just like, poor Joey, like, play Joey. And
Patrick, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, like Healy came on, did well, set up a try. We'll keep Healy, because then now I don't have to, like, Carberry great when he's on form, but now we don't have to manage him as much because we've got a load of Burns and we have Sam Prendergast as well. They can all step in and kind of back up Johnny Sexton now as well for Ireland. So we don't need to kind of rehabilitate Joey as much. So Ben Healy on the bench.
yeah, what do you think?
I think Healy on the bench because I want you to win. I want the Leinster Munster, and I don't know what's going on for poor Joey. I really like Joey, and even I'd like to see him. I still think fullback is his best position. But Mike Haley has been exceptional. He's been so consistent for you guys. I think I agree. Peter O'Mahony alluded to it. The South Africa trip was a huge turning point. I think they'll carry that into Glasgow. But I think I'm going to go with my 5, Casey. I do think Jack Crowley at 10 to start, but I think he'll move then to centre. And
Bring on Healy.
Yeah.
Well, that's
to
what they've been
finish
doing
off,
for the
yeah.
last couple of weeks in South Africa, and it's been working. So
Why
suppose
change it?
if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like, yeah, it's just my Munster
I
passion.
feel you're
coming
so
out.
sad now, but look,
Yeah,
it's
no,
a win-win for us.
It is.
It's a win-win.
Just win Munster. That's all I want you to do. All right.
And win Leinster.
I care so much. Leinster can win as well if they want. Okay, never stop competing moment of the week. Together with Bank of Ireland, we're giving it to Charlie Ngatai. He was out for 3.5 to 4 months and just came straight back into a Champions Cup semi-final against Toulouse and played incredible for 55 minutes.
Yeah,
Like, this
great.
just shows how good the player is. Like, for being out for that long and to come back at that top level. He didn't just like take part. He was like running the centre.
Oh, I thought he was exceptional.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I was asking that a couple of weeks ago. I was like, when is this lad coming
Yeah.
back? Because he was exceptional up until his injury, and I think we've missed him. Though again, with depth, we haven't, like, it hasn't been like detrimental to our season. But I think he reminded everyone how good he is, and after so long out, he's such a smart guy.
Yeah, great guy to be getting back for the next 4 games for Leinster as well.
Yeah.
Incredible. So, never stop competing moment of the week. Together, Bank of Ireland goes to Leinster's Charlie Ngatai. Well done, lad. That's the end of the episode, guys. It's an exciting weekend of URC ahead, though, the quarterfinals.
Yes.
So, thanks very much for your insight, Pat, and all your stats. Lindsay, you're amazing as always.
Amazing.
Stop flirting with me.
That's my line.
I just borrowed it for this week.
I love you to
Thank
bits.
you.
Thanks
You
so
too.
much, guys. And thank you to our sponsors, Bank of Ireland, proud supporters of the 4 Irish provinces. We'll catch you next week, guys.
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.